Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
Hey guys, I read a very interesting article and I want your takes on this.
Uh-oh.
Netflix has paid $469 million for 2 exclusive Knives Out sequels that will only be shown on Netflix. Will not go to the theaters.
So this is just, I saw the headline. I didn't read the article. So is this just a distribution purchase?
Yes.
Holy
and
shit.
100 million of that goes directly to Rian Johnson. 100 million goes directly to Daniel Craig.
Oh.
Whoa.
So this sounds insane, right?
Yeah.
Until you start thinking, wait a second, these guys are saying, no, it's not going to the theater. If you want to watch this movie, you got to sign up for Netflix. And it's kind of like they are basically playing on a different level now.
I wonder if that's part of why they're also planning on starting to track down on the stealing or sharing of passwords and stuff. So,
are they going to care about that now?
Yeah. Apparently they're working on figuring out how to do that.
So cut away. So I gotta shuffle some stuff.
Gonna get that $11 a month out of you now.
Damn it! I finally canceled my DVD Netflix.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's.
Is that? Do you think that's a response to HBO or?
I think
like the exclusivity.
I don't think it's a response to anything. I think it's a big fuck you to theaters. I think they're saying so. Certainly, Knives Out. What do you think the budget of that was? Under 100 million, I would think.
Probably.
Even with the star power in it.
Yeah.
And then it made a fair amount of money back.
Very well, yes.
These guys are going in and saying, what's it going to cost so that you don't get to look at any of that money. Whatever we get out of this, we get out of it, which I assume they think is going to be subscriptions.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird because I feel like for the longest time I was reading these articles about how Netflix is on the verge of going under and their model doesn't actually allow them to profit and all kinds of stuff. But then stuff like this happens and it's like, well, I guess just having every person on the planet giving them $11 every month probably does end up being able to.
A lot of money. Well, I mean, I'm always suspect on those because, I mean, theater was going to die when TV was started or when radio going to go away because of movies or TV or whatever.
Yeah.
And everybody is always citing the doom of something. The only people who kind of got it right were people that say video rental stores are in trouble.
Right.
That one actually did come true. I think they are so tight on how they release, how they make money.
Yeah.
All of the major streamers are. It's not just HBO or Netflix. It's all of them. So realistically, who's ever writing those articles is making a lot of shit up based on assumptions. And, well, I heard from this one sort of reliable source.
Yeah.
Did you get any confirmation from anyone? Well, no. Well, okay. Your article's probably not based on much. It's fascinating. I just wish we could understand because we've never really understood how VHS made their money to the. There are places that know, but publicly, they don't release that stuff. And streaming's the same way.
Exactly. Like they've kept all that so close to the chest where like even their demographics, even the number of subscriptions, they don't release that stuff. Also,
a lot of these things, so HBO Max is Warner Brothers.
Right.
That money can be hidden and it can be taken from other places, and a place that is making a ton of money can just be used as, okay, well, we're just going to take a loss on HBO Max because we know eventually we won't be, and we can afford to.
Yeah.
With Netflix, it's weird because I remember, on good authority, we had it last year that Apple was going to be buying Netflix, and that never happened. And we were hearing how Netflix was, running out of money and everything. Well, spending $500 million on 2 films doesn't sound like they're running out of money.
No, it doesn't. And just knowing, again, like just thinking about the fact that I don't know anybody who does not have a Netflix subscription, and that includes everyone I know in Europe. So it doesn't make sense to think that that company is going to go under, even if they're doing Stranger Things and even if they're buying up properties and putting out new things. The money is just constantly coming into them. So
I'm trying to think, what's a Netflix subscription now? 14?
Yeah, it just went up actually.
Sorry, yeah.
I think it's like 14 or 15 now.
What they need to do is they need to go, look, we're canceling multiple accounts on these things, but we're dropping our price to $8.99. And I think that a $9 thing is a lot easier for people to swallow than a $15 thing.
Yeah.
Mm.
And so you might get back all those people who now can't borrow somebody's password
Oh, right.
Right.
and then make it up.
That is very, very true. Because I was going to say, I think that the way they up their cost is really smart, because everybody's been paying, $8.99 or, $11 or whatever for the past 4 years. And then all of a sudden one day you log in and it says, we're upping the cost. Press OK to continue to watch the thing you are already have it as a huge part of your home and your, routine and everything. And it's like, well, why wouldn't I press OK?
Yeah. Especially, it's only $1 more a month, but we've been all doing it long enough that I remember when it was $8.99 and now it's $15. So.
I cut cable and I have no regrets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a one.
Speaking of all that stuff, also, we're not sponsored by Shudder, but right now is a great time to get on Shudder because they knocked it down to half price for 6 months. So that's
God.
like a $3.
See, that to me sounds like a company that, are they okay?
I don't know, but we were just talking about, off mics about like the Val Lewton collection is now on Shudder. And
Shudder's owned by AMC, correct?
I believe Shudder is owned by AMC.
AMC? Okay.
Yeah,
Or
and AMC is one of
Amazon.
the biggest theater. I think it's AMC.
Oh, that's probably a problem then. Theater chains aren't doing real well right
Right.
now.
And
That's
I think
true,
AMC
but they are
is
the
one that's
biggest
really
one.
struggling.
Out there.
I
don't
only
know.
said I thought it was Amazon because I see now that season 1 of Creepshow, which was a Shudder exclusive, is available on Prime.
They've had a long-term relationship with Prime, because you used to be able, or you still can, subscribe to a Shudder version on Amazon, and that's been in existence since the start.
That's
of
actually
Shudder.
how I subscribe. I've always been a little curious if it's the full Shudder on there.
It's not.
It's not? Oh,
I
that's
don't think
interesting.
so. I've had a couple of times where I've tried to find content and it's not. And it's not nearly as good because the layout's just
Is
not
it
the same.
cheaper or something?
It is cheaper. I think it's $5 a month.
Yeah.
Or it was, I guess. Now it's not, because if it's $3 a month to subscribe, then you might as well just get the full thing.
Yeah.
I like the actual
over.
Shudder a lot more, because you also get the streaming TV. It's like 3 TV channels or whatever, but you just come across more interesting content that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, speaking of all that stuff, hey, Vanessa, remember, are you caught up on Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
I am.
Remember when you were saying how much you like John Walker and he's just a good guy who deserves to wear the shield?
They followed the comic books, is what I'm behind. But don't worry. No, don't worry about it.
I won't get into any spoilers, but I did watch that and go, well, I hope Vanessa's watching.
I am, and I was pretty into it. I was pretty excited, actually. I think that was a good building and a good path for the character. It felt very natural, and I like that.
Go ahead. Don't worry. I'm fine. Certain kinds of things, spoilers bug me. Marvel is not one of
it
them.
It was an intense episode, Eric, and you know the arc of this character already, and he is following it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So within that arc, just the fact that they don't just jump into it, but they justify it through showing you the conversations that he's having, the feelings he's having, the moments, the things he's literally seeing that cause him to decide to do the things he does. I was like, oh my God, they justified it wow, they actually did that. That's interesting.
That entire show is a great practice on everything is good from a certain point of view.
Yeah, it
like
really
it's really hard to even fault Zemo for what he wants to do.
Zemo, yeah, there was a point where I knew exactly what Zemo was going to do, and the person I was watching the show with was like, "Oh my gosh, is he going to X?" And I was like, "Nope," and
No,
I know
he is
why.
not.
He is not going to. No way in hell is he going to. Also, I don't know if you guys caught this. There is a 2-hour long dancing Zemo
I actually
video
did see that popped up
On
on my
YouTube?
YouTube thing or something.
and
Yeah.
it's put out by Marvel. It's all the extra. It's not just the
Oh,
stuff
so it's
you-
not a just a
no,
repeat.
it's not a.
Oh my
well,
God.
it's not. It is a repeat, but it's a lot more content
They
than
had
what's
like
on the show.
20 minutes or
It's
something.
all the like outtake versions of him doing the thing, like dancing. So it's just him dancing from different angles, and it feels really fluid because it's like it's probably about 3 to 4 unique minutes worth of content of him dancing
Oh,
in
that's
weird
great.
ways.
That's hilarious.
It's so good. I was like, damn, Marvel. I was like, what genius did this? Oh my God, it's Marvel. Marvel did this. Okay.
There you go. It's sort of like this is not a studio doing the thing, but John Cena kind of representing himself well, where he's talking about his character in the new Suicide Squad.
Mm.
He was eating something. I don't remember if it was a donut or burrito or something, but he decided his character should eat the whole thing, like in a bite or two. So he ended up having to do 30 takes of eating that thing. He's like, I've never been so sick in my life. It
Oh
was so
my
much
God.
food. And you know that dude ain't out there eating,
No,
well,
boy,
he eats
that's
a lot, but not the way we would eat a lot.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I actually caught something on Netflix, speaking of which had a lot of heart. And I was surprised because I got my second vaccine and I wasn't gonna talk to anybody about it or make any big deal out of it. But I was so sick. I was so unbelievably sick. I've never been so sick in my life. And I was like, I just need to watch something. So I threw on Julie and the Phantoms, which is it's like a young adult like teen show about a girl who her mom has died and she doesn't want to sing anymore because that was like the thing that like her mom was a musician and she just doesn't feel like getting into it. And she's in her mom's studio, puts on an old CD, and all of a sudden this ghost band appears.
Oh, whoa.
Called from the 90s called Sunset Curve. They had all died by eating a bad hot dog. And they are equally surprised to find themselves there. And the rest of the world can see them, but only when they play as her kind of like band.
Wow.
Yeah. So she starts to dip more and more into playing music again and doing performances for her high school and whatever. And like they just like pop in out of nowhere every time she's playing. And this music is really good. It's stupidly good. The show is actually based off of a Brazilian show, a Brazilian property. It's got 1 season out right now. It's just really fun. It's got like some ghost like drama going on in it too. And the characters kind of go in unexpected ways. There's a really neat like gay character in it that I just absolutely adore. I don't know. It's very representative in a lot of ways.
Julie and the Phantoms.
Julie and the Phantoms. Oh my God. It just
Josie and the
made me so
Pussycats.
happy. Just had so much heart.
That's so cool.
You got to put a little love in your heart, put a little heart in your love.
All of it.
Got to get through that. I, on the other hand, had a less fun experience watching something that I think you called doing my homework or something.
Oh,
I watched about an hour, and we'll see if I ever actually finish it, of Joss Whedon's Justice League.
yeah.
No wonder people were so excited about Zack.
I told you.
Like, good God, right from the opening song.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is crap. And, for a guy who put together some pretty cool music in Buffy to start off like that, I'm going, wow, Josh has lost it in so many ways. And we talked about, but the Gal Gadot refusing to do the part where Flash lands on her.
Yes.
So I'm watching that. And yeah, it's very obviously
Yeah,
a
she's
body
her,
double.
Her face completely turned away from camera.
And it's just like, it's so bad. It's so
See,
bad.
now you can understand my enthusiasm, right? After watching something like that, to then watch a film that makes sense on any level, I was very excited.
It is not good.
Kelly's never gonna like respect me again. I just
Look.
know I've lost it.
Yes, saying that the Zack Snyder version is better is like saying, my partner only pissed on me while we were sleeping last night instead of shitting on me.
That's pretty good. I
there
would
you
much
go.
rather be
All
pissed
right.
on. You can wash that real quick. You don't have to get a sponge.
Neither of them are what you would call good, is my point.
It's hard. Like I said, I have no perspective. I can't tell you. I have no idea if it's good or not. I just know I enjoyed it significantly more.
Well, in quick takes, then I'll just toss out one that was worth watching that you'd recommend that floored me was Come True.
Oh, so good. I was so
It is
glad
so
you
good.
texted me like right after or something. You're like, this is so good. I was like, okay, not just me.
Fantastic film, man.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah, you should.
I
definitely.
suggested that to Mike Davis of the Lovecraft e-zine, and I thought he liked it, but then publicly he told me I owed him $8 for renting
Really?
it. And I was
Wow.
like, oh shit, I thought it was great. So
Yeah,
you know what?
too.
Your mileage may vary on this
Yeah,
film.
yeah. It's esoteric enough, I guess, that if you don't buy into well, like we were talking about this episode, if you don't buy into the magic, I sure did.
Well, and also as I, Vanessa, you wouldn't understand this, but as I get into the September of my years,
I was born in
find-
September.
all right, as I get into the November of my years, I find that my taste has moved from a lot of the stuff that I used to like as a younger person to just weird.
Oh,
and
sure.
so
'cause
if
you're
it's
like,
horror, it's kind of like, oh, I want my horror to be weirder than this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm getting what I
it's
have
predictable.
liked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, I understand. That makes
So
sense.
I wouldn't even call that a horror film, would you? It's just,
Not really.
I mean, it had
it's got
kind of some creepy
scary, yeah.
elements in it, but I just thought it was really weird and kind of original.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
well, something that was original in its first incarnation and now as an animated series, Invincible, is disappointing me more and
God,
more
yeah.
as it
Oh
goes on.
no.
I found myself watching the last 2 episodes through my phone almost.
Oh no!
where-
Wow, I
where
haven't
like,
done that bad.
Uh-huh.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, what? They really missed the whole point of the series, which
Mhm.
was kind of showing you how banal the superhero life is. You've got your wife at home who's a real estate agent, and
Yeah.
your son is starting to come up with powers and all this stuff. And they really made a big deal of the fact that, in the comics, Nolan would be gone for weeks and the family wasn't too worried about it because he was always gone for weeks, saving the universe or out in space or doing something. And they would touch on these moments that felt really real, like Cecil, who would use the transporter when he really shouldn't have been, because the taxpayers paid $2 billion every time he used the transporter.
Oh
And
my
he
God.
would just, zap into people's houses to talk to them and then zap out.
Stop back. Yeah.
Eh,
And it was, now it's just a cool piece of tech they have in this series. And I'm like, you guys are kind of missing what made this comic book feel so unique.
Yes. Well, that's kind of like make a comparison to another show that had patience and this one didn't, The Exorcist. There's a reveal in episode 5 of The Exorcist that turns it from kind of a neat show to a fucking amazing
So
show.
must-watch TV. Yeah.
And if this had done that, like the writer, the original story is strong enough and the voice actors certainly are talented enough that they could have just told this as a family drama, which it is for a long time, family drama of superheroes. And then had that reveal 5, 6, 7, maybe even as season end
As a season ender, yeah.
and it would have been unbelievable because by the time that he kills everybody, you don't give a shit about anybody yet.
Yeah.
But in the comic, you gave a shit about everybody by the time he goes rogue. You're like, and all the people he killed had great stories that were. It's just like, God damn it! It's a mess.
I will say there's one thing I like that they're doing in this that is not in the comic, and that is his wife is starting to suspect, and she's doing her own investigation, and you're starting to get worried she'll get caught.
Yeah.
And that's new.
Yeah, Sandra Oh's character is definitely the best, one of the best. Because I know Robert Kirkman's got this whole thing like with The Walking Dead. He doesn't want to just retell the story. It's like, that's fine. You can alter your story and do something. But when you've got that,
Yeah.
let's alter it and, maybe make it more funny or something. But yeah, it's really been disappointing.
The problem with that altering things, I get it. You're an artist and you don't want to just do the same thing over and over. But you're taking your comic book, which might be a big hit in the comic book, but when you put that in front of TV screens and it becomes a hit show, those people, you're reaching such a wider audience. And if you're changing something, you got to be careful that you're not changing it for the worse, not making it a weaker moment just because you want to make it a different moment.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And that's certainly what happened, which is so disappointing.
Yeah, happened in Walking Dead too. So you should know better.
Well, I have nothing to contribute to that. It makes me so sad. But I did finally watch on Shudder Horror Noir, the little documentary.
Great documentary, yeah.
Yeah, it was really good. And I didn't realize it sounds like they're coming out with another one, which will be a really cool like follow-up. But just really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed listening to people talk about their experiences with cinema and what it feels like to lack having representation of yourself experiencing things until they got to horror films and they're like, yeah, at least my character's, not going to get tortured in this one or whatever, just swift death or no representation at all. Yeah, I just, I really, really liked it. It was very, very cool perspectives and obviously just on the heels of Get Out, because they talk about Get Out so much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the movie got made because the producers went and go, hey, look how well this movie's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do this documentary?
Please. Yeah, and it made me really want to watch both Blackula, which I already wanted to watch, but also Ganja and Hess, because I didn't realize that was a Cannes film.
Tony was guesting on the show when I talked about that one. Yeah. That's a good film.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the first Blackula is good, and the second one, not really.
So good.
We'll not watch the second one then. I will avoid that one, perhaps.
So a few weeks back, I did Colors of the Dark.
Oh, right.
All the Colors of the Dark is kind of for whatever, it's Satan or cults. And made fun of a title because it's funny. Your vice is a locked room and only I have the key.
Yes.
Well, that popped up on Arrow streaming. So I was like,
well,
let's watch it. Holy shit, it's good.
Really?
Oh.
It's directed by the same guy and stars the same woman. Well, she's third star, I guess, in this one as opposed to the main one in the Colors of the Dark. And wow. We were talking about a friend of ours one time who just doesn't like mean movies. Don't watch this one.
Yeah.
This movie is fucking mean. It's got an abusive husband who is horrible to his wife, and his niece shows up later, which is the lady from Colors of the Dark. So, of course, the husband instantly goes, oh, hello. And he's just an asshole. What I like a lot about the Giallo films, we were talking about weird earlier, they are unpredictable. They go weird freaking places sometimes. And sometimes it doesn't work. But when it does work, holy shit. And this film is really dark, relatively violent, but it's the next film he did after Colors of the Dark. So it just follows in tone and stuff. And, oh man, it is well worth watching.
Cool.
It is brutal and it is mean. Definitely.
Yeah.
You'll know if you want to stick with it about 10 minutes in, probably.
That's always good to know, because sometimes like I get 10 minutes in and I'm like, I'm just going to keep watching in case it changes something. So it's good that's a good thing to know about a film.
Yeah.
Before we take a break, just throw out there that season 2 of Creepshow has started on Shudder, and it's much better than season 1.
Oh, cool.
Have you watched both of the first?
Yeah, and the second episode is not as good as the first episode, but it's still better than almost every episode.
Yeah,
of
the
first
first episode, both episodes are really good. The second one, I kind of liked one. The other one was okay, but still good. Still very watchable.
They're starting to feel like Creepshow.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, how about we take a little break, and when we come back, we are talking about mixing magic.
Do you believe in magic? Hamburgers that talk, chicken McNuggets you can take for a walk, and a clown making wishes come true. The fun never ends with you know. It's Final Town.
Do you believe in magic?
And I hope you do.
You'll always have a friend wearing big red shoes. Anything can happen right before your eyes. Whatever you're expecting, expect a surprise. Purple guys and funny fries all over the place. Hey, talking with a friend puts a smile on your face.
Do you believe in magic?
That's it.
And I hope you do. You'll always have a friend wearing big red shoes.
We have returned. Guys, this was my subgenre, and I chose mixing magics, which is to say films that either positively or negatively take two different kind of things, like, say, sorcery and aliens, and mix them together.
I think I know where you're going with that.
With that in mind, I chose from 1991, Highlander 2.
Greetings, Highlander. You call?
Let's have some fun.
In all their centuries on Earth, nothing could have prepared them for the quickening. Christopher Lambert, Sean Connery, Highlander 2, The Quickening.
The Quickening.
Oh, I have not seen this one.
Good for you.
Oh no!
I'm sorry, too much.
Budget of $30 million.
Wow.
Box office of $15 million.
Oh, ouch!
I will give $5 to the first one who can guess what the Rotten Tomatoes critics is on this.
Oh man,
5%.
13.
0%.
Oh, it's one of the zeros.
Whoa.
No good review was
Oh my
ever
God.
written for this film.
Oh my god!
By
Yeah.
a professional reviewer.
Right. Well, the audience has it at 24%.
Oh,
Mm.
well.
This was directed by Russell Mulcahy. He did The Shadow, the original Highlander, Razorback, and probably every MTV video from 1982 to 1992. If you look on his IMDb, it is just a list of every single hit video from MTV in that period. He worked with everybody. Elton John, Duran Duran, Madonna, all of those videos that you remember liking were directed by him.
Wow.
It was written by Brian Clemens, who has 109 writing credits, including Golden Voyage of Sinbad, Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, and The Watcher in the Woods. He is a good writer, but you would not know it from this film. It stars Christopher Lambert, and you might want to say Lambert, but his production company is called Lamb Bear Productions. So that is
Oh,
how you know
wow.
he actually pronounces it Lambert.
Wow.
He was from, of course, the original Highlander, Fortress, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Sorry, it just has to be done.
Finish him.
It also stars Sir Sean Connery, who you might remember from Being Okay with Hitting Women. Also, the movies Zardoz, Meteor, and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I'm just going to toss out real quick. If you've never seen Zardoz, you don't necessarily need to watch it, but you do need to look up Sean Connery playing his character in Zardoz.
It's an interesting outfit. Sure.
Bold choice
Sure,
for
it's-
costuming.
Beachwear. It also stars Virginia Madsen from Candyman, Prophecy, and of course she was in
Wow.
that wine movie. That was her comeback.
Sideways.
Sideways, and
Yeah.
she was just fantastic.
Mhm.
And Michael Ironside, 272 credits, including Scanners, Total Recall, and Free Willy.
And a whole lot of other movies you love and can't believe he's in.
Yes. Okay. Have you seen the original Highlander?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what a lovely film this is, right? I mean, you've got these immortals who are somehow driven to cutting each other's heads off, and each time they do that, they experience the quickening, which gives them a little more power until there are only two fighting, and they have to fight to the end because there can be only one.
Yes.
And once they do that, the person who gets the gift of being able to be the last one standing, he has the power to do all sorts of things, according to that first movie.
Mhm.
And one of those is to grow old and die if he so wishes.
Ah, sure.
Okay.
So is Sean Connery's like quickening multiple accents that do not match his country of origin?
We're going to get into some stuff that's going to blow your fucking mind, Vanessa.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
If you think that you have a problem with his Scottish accent because he came from Egypt,
Uh-huh.
Wait until you see this movie.
I'm excited.
The film begins with some text on the screen, much like the first film did, explaining that the year is the distant future, 2024.
Oh,
Oh.
Industrial pollution has destroyed the Earth's ozone layer, leaving the Earth at the mercy of the sun's rays. And an electromagnetic shield has been set up since 1999 to protect the world from the sun. However, there is a small group of eco-terrorists who believe that the ozone layer has repaired itself and that the shield is now moot.
okay.
We are
That's a
then
very specific plot line.
we are then introduced to an aged and pretty much dying Connor McLeod as he sits in an opera theater watching a performance of Wagner's Götterdämmerung. While he is watching this, he is reminded of his time on the planet Zeist.
What?
This movie.
You're not following this, Vanessa?
Wait, there's another planet?
It's the planet Zeist. It's the planet of the immortals.
I thought they are on Earth.
And there could only be one.
Oh, what?
Well, maybe the others are on their other planet and they are quickening each other.
How about I just explain some more and maybe then you'll understand.
Yeah. okay.
Probably not.
Let's roll out this red carpet for me.
On this planet, Zeist, millions of years ago, a rebellion was set up by Ramirez and McLeod against the cruel slavers led by the psychotic and irrational General Katana.
Wait, there's like slave.
General Katana.
What? You got a problem with this?
General Sword.
0%.
Yeah, no shit.
Hold on.
Okay.
However, their revolt is stamped down, and Ramirez and Connor, named Ramirez and Connor on this planet, also speaking their accents and everything on this planet,
Okay.
despite Katana's desire for them to be killed, are instead exiled to the planet Earth, where they would remain immortal until their heads are cut off for some reason.
Okay.
Well, get your head cut off, you die.
That could be the reason. Meanwhile, at the Shield Corporation.
Is this all in the text at the front of the?
No.
Okay, you are discovering it through people
we've
talking.
seen a flashback to the planet Zeist.
Oh my god! Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh yeah, he's watching the play, and remember the first film relies on these very cool flashbacks, and we learn things about his past that kind of make sense as we go forward. Well, now we're doing the same thing, Vanessa. What's our problem? This time he flashes back to his time on Zeist.
Does he have a spaceship somewhere?
You see some wrecked spaceships on the planet, but
nice.
All right.
but they live kind of like nomadic desert people.
It sounds really thought through. I'm on board.
Okay, all right. Well, then
Let's
you're going to
keep
love
rowing
this.
this rowboat.
So at the Shield Corporation, which is kind of funny since Shield is such a big part of everybody's life now.
Yeah.
This corporation that put the shield around the world is called Shield.
Shield. Oh.
Yeah, makes sense.
A masked group
Good
of
marketing.
people break into the system, and the leader, Louise Marcus, played by the lovely Virginia Madsen, is the only one who escapes. As soon as the building security mowed down the rest of her team, she takes like a zip line over a big, huge water thing and escapes. She quickly gets undressed, which is nice if you're a fan of Virginia Madsen, which I am, and then slinks off into the darkness. Meanwhile, on the planet Zeist, no longer a flashback, but now
it's present day
on Zeist.
Okay.
General Katana grows impatient of McLeod living on Earth, knowing he may yet return to Zeist now that all the other immortals are dead. Despite the fact that McLeod is dying and will be dead within a matter of weeks, it seems. And despite the fact that Katana has some kind of view television screen where he can see McLeod on Earth and see that he is like a 98-year-old man. He decides to send two bird-like immortals to attack him and kill him.
That's some impatience on like an epic scale.
Try to keep up with the amount of magics that are being mixed in this film.
I forgot about that part, frankly. I was just too wrapping my head around the plot.
On Earth, Connor goes to a bar, then leaves the bar and comes face to face with Louise, who has sought him out because she knows he is the creator of the shield, and she needs to tell him, look, there's no reason for the shield. You need to shut it down. But Connor has already sold off his part of the corporation and all that. That was years ago. She tries to convince him to help her in a quest to shut down S.H.I.E.L.D., but they are then set upon by the two bird-like aliens that Katana sent to Earth. They attack, and McLeod accidentally kills one of them by blocking something. The creature bird thing falls conveniently on a railway track, and a city trolley goes over, cuts its head off.
Oh, perfect.
And Connor goes through the quickening.
Ah.
And he comes back from all of that, young and handsome as fuck.
Oh.
He quickly kills the other guy. Again, somehow, let's call it magic, cries out to his friend Ramirez across the centuries. You remember that Ramirez died in like 1582 or something like that.
Forever ago, yeah. I thought the Highlander was the only... Okay.
Louise then sees the now young and restored Connor, and despite knowing each other for 48 seconds, they began kissing passionately. He pushes her against a alley wall, pulls up her skirt, and bangs her right there and then.
Can I just say...
How much you're loving this?
I don't really enjoy when people make out on screen, and I feel like I'm the only one, but every time two people go to kiss on a movie, I'm just freak out.
I like to be in a theater, and as they get closer, I like to go... and just see what everybody does.
I feel like that would be a good response.
Then I get my laser pointer out and I point it right at the boobies of the girl on the screen.
Oh my God.
In case you missed it.
I even wrote, here's how I wrote it. Then he pushes her against the wall, pulls up her skirt, and bangs her right then and there. It was a different time, Vanessa.
It was a different time when people had sex in alleys. I feel like that still happens.
Later,
we just don't talk about it the same way.
At his apartment, Louise and Connor discuss all the stuff that's going on. And despite having regained his strength and having banged Louise out in a gross alley, he still does not give a shit about her plans to dismantle the shield. Ramirez, being called back by Connor's magic, shows up in Scotland instead of Egypt, where he's from. According to the first movie.
Well, the universe corrected itself. They're like, actually.
Shows up in Scotland, makes a few homophobic jokes, and gets a new set of clothes. Katana decides it is time to take things into his own hand. He comes down to Earth, too, where he and Connor fight, and Katana escapes. Connor and Ramirez finally reunite. They decide that they are going to break down the shield, and they sneak into the Shield Corporation. But they fall into a trap. They brought Louise with them. They fall into a trap involving this huge, for no reason, ceiling turbine that is spinning above their heads and then starts lowering. And it's going to cut off their heads, Vanessa. You can understand the tension.
They could just put their feet up, like lay down and put their...
Ramirez holds back the turbine, using up the last of his strength, and is crushed and then explodes in the ensuing struggle.
Sure.
As Connor and Louise escape. Katana shows up to fight Connor one last time, and guess who wins, Vanessa?
Is it Connor?
It doesn't really matter. Much like Aliens versus Predator, no matter who wins, we lose.
Oh, dear.
What a shit show this movie is.
It's so bad. I'd forgotten how god-awful it was.
That's the whole fucking movie, but I actually watched what was called the Quickening fairy tale ending, which is available on YouTube.
Okay.
Isn't this sort of like Blade Runner?
It's got a bunch of different cuts.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In this one, Katana, after they have kissed and escaped, and the shield has come down, and we see that it's beautiful sky up above. Yeah. Connor then says, "I have to go back to Zeist," and he disappears and reappears in the stars, and then reaches his hand out to her and says, "Louise, come with me." And she says, "You know I can't. How can I?" And he says, "It's a kind of magic." And she then comes into the stars with him, and they disappear on their way to Zeist.
That's so upsetting.
Did they bring back Queen for that one?
No.
Okay,
Oh my
that's
God.
Good job on Queen.
So,
Oh my God.
No, you cannot use our song for that.
just a little bit of trivia that is not in my trivia notes here. This movie came out the same month that Freddie announced he was dying of AIDS. And if you remember that time, he announced it, and like 3 days later, he was dead.
Oh,
So-
wow.
The trivia I do have on this is fucking fantastic, as you might expect.
I'm sure there's tons.
Michael Ironside recalled his experiences on this movie. Yeah, listen, I hated that script. We all did. Me, Sean, Chris, we were all in it for the money on this one. I mean, it read as if it had been written by a 13-year-old boy. But I'd never played a barbarian swordsman before, and this was my first big evil mastermind type. I figured if I was going to do this stupid movie, I might as well have fun and go as far over the top as I possibly could. All that eye-rolling and foaming at the mouth was me deciding that if I was going to be in one piece of shit like this movie, I was going to be the most memorable fucking thing in it. And I think I succeeded.
Wow.
Christopher Lambert was so disgusted with the rewritten script that he wanted to drop out of the movie, but contractual obligations forced him to finish it. Clancy Brown was asked to reprise his role as the Kurgan in a cameo, but declined.
Clancy Brown turned down a role? I mean, come on, right there. You're in unique territory.
Roger Ebert named this the worst movie of 1991.
Aw.
Yeah, you know.
Director Russell Mulcahy disliked the theatrical cut so much that he left the premiere after only 15 minutes.
Wow.
The
Yikes.
movie's initial budget was estimated at $30 million. Connery received $3.5 million for 9 days of work, which he donated to charitable causes.
Aw.
Nice. Women's shelters, I hope.
After this film bombed at the box office, it was decided that the following movies would be true and faithful to the original movie story and mythology by pretending this movie never happened. A long-running joke amongst Highlander fans states that the official name of the third movie should have been Highlander 3, The Apology.
Aw.
Christopher Lambert has very bad eyesight. During one sword fight, Lambert, who was not wearing his glasses, nearly severed Michael Ironside's right thumb.
Oh.
That's why he always looks so glassy-eyed.
Yeah.
He really has horrible eyesight. It's like, get contact.
Right. Initial plans for a third movie titled Highlander 3, The Reckoning, would have detached the story even further. It would have taken place entirely on Zeist and would have involved Connor training a rebel army to overthrow the rulers of the planet. Here's one I always like seeing on a really shitty movie. A technician died during filming after falling from a crane.
Oh,
Somebody
God.
gave their life during this movie.
Oh.
Aw.
Virginia Madsen admitted she did this film for two reasons only. She wanted to go to Argentina, and she wanted to work with Sean Connery.
Those
Nice.
are fair reasons.
Yeah.
Director Russell Mulcahy was so frustrated at being locked out of production that he tried to have his credit changed to Alan Smithy. However, a section of his contract forbade him from publicly attacking this movie before it was released. The producers said that if he had his credit changed, that would be considered an attack, and he would be sued.
Okay.
The alternate ending, the fairy tale ending, is one I watched. In the Renegade version, a documentary following the movie has the filmmakers explain why the original theatrical release contradicted the first movie. According to them, inflation in Argentina had gotten so bad during filming that the movie's insurance companies started to take creative control and made a movie that they thought would make the most money. So
Wow.
that's the theatrical
The
version.
insurance company
Yeah, so
making the creative.
We need aliens.
That's pretty exciting.
in the director's cut, which is called the Renegade version, which I think is the only one you can get officially right now, Connor Ramirez's backstory is changed. Instead of aliens from the planet Zeist, Connor and Ramirez are from Earth in the distant past, who were sent to the future as punishment for their rebellion, in which they were reborn in the time periods to which they were exiled, hence Connor forgetting his past, which he begins to remember at the opera.
Wow.
Let's see. During 9 days of filming, Christopher Lambert was a client of the Buenos Aires discotheques and nightclubs. This made him unable to film any scenes during the day due to being hungover. Although the movie was ultimately taken out of Russell Mulcahy's hands, the British distributor allowed him and producers a chance to re-edit it. The British version runs 10 minutes longer than the studio's cut and is much closer to the original script, including reinserted flashback sequences and an alternate ending. There's just so much here. I'm just going to pass through all this. Originally budgeted at $14 million, economic problems in Argentina at the time caused the budget to balloon to $30 million.
Wow.
And then I thought this was kind of interesting. Interstar Releasing, the movie's American distributor, spent $4.4 million on an advertising campaign, mostly spent on radio spots. Local theaters were encouraged by Interstar to create their own advertising, with the incentive being a free trip to Scotland for the theater owner with the most successful campaign.
Wow. I hope they did it. I hope some manager out there got a free trip to Scotland.
Finally, this is the one that's the most damning for Russell. In the Laserdisc, VHS, and DVD editions of the Renegade version, there is a documentary where Russell Mulcahy and multiple producers blame the failure of the film on bad Argentinian labor ethics. They then discuss how they removed the concept of the planet Zeist in the new cut. But this concept appears in the first draft of the screenplay. So this was not something that the studio made him do. He's trying to get out of it. He, much like Zack Snyder, his Renegade cut allowed him to go in after he had heard everybody bitching about the things and go and change the things that, even the bad things that he had done.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird to get these, these mulligans on films.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's my movie, 0%.
Oh, man. Back-to-back weeks of you hating something.
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised.
Ghost of
'cause
Mars
normally-
and Highlander 2.
Right.
What
Ghost
a
of
double
Mars last
bill.
week. That is an amazing double bill, and I would recommend nobody ever.
No one sit down and watch them back to back unless there's a lot of alcohol involved.
So you can fall asleep easier.
Plus Transformers, which you didn't enjoy. Man. Plus Kong.
I liked Transformers better than either of these movies.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this was definitely an interesting challenge. It took me a little bit to wrap my head around, but I went ahead and found a little gem called Next.
Tell me what just happened. What did you see?
If I do what you want, it'll keep me in this chair forever.
Chris Johnson has the ability to see things before they happen. And if you can see the future, you can change the present. But that kind of power has a price.
You can see things before they happen.
Only my future, except with you. I saw far beyond anything I'd ever seen before. You need to get away from here.
I believe that the urgency of the situation compels the use of any and all resources to obtain Chris Johnson.
I've seen every possible ending. None of them are good for you.
Millions of lives are at risk, and you could prevent a major catastrophe.
I don't want you to die. It happened. It just hasn't happened yet.
On April 27th,
Every way I try, she still ends up dead.
She's still alive. We all are. Just try to keep it that way.
you may think you know what the future holds,
Who the hell are you people?
but nothing can prepare you
Don't do it.
I already have.
for what happens next.
Tell me what you saw.
I made a mistake. It's happening. Now!
Put out in 2007. The tagline is, if you can see the future, you can save it.
Is this the Nick Cage movie?
It is indeed.
I have not seen this.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I have.
You, it's
I
something
await
special.
your review.
I have. My reaction was not that it was a gem.
Rotten Tomatoes, critics give it 28%. Audience, 53%.
That's not so bad.
Do with that as you will. The budget was $78.1 million. The box office was $76.1 million.
$78 million for a Nicolas Cage film? Jesus Christ.
There is a lot of very early CGI in this movie. Very early. The director of this piece, actually pretty cool guy, Lee Tamahori. He's a New Zealand director. And it seems like he does a film every 7-ish years. It's like really long amounts of time between each one. But he did The Edge, Die Another Day, and XXX State of the Union.
Oh.
The writer for this was Gary Goldman, who you might remember as being the writer for Big Trouble in Little China, Total Recall, and others. Jonathan Hensley also wrote on this. He wrote Armageddon, Die Hard with a Vengeance, The Saint, The Punisher, and lots of adventures of young Indiana Jones. The story itself, the movie Next, is based off of Philip K. Dick's The Golden Man, a short story. It's starring Nick Cage.
Oh, yeah.
106 credits. Soon to be playing Joe Exotic in an upcoming project. Which I was like...
That's wild.
I will say, I think, though, one of my favorite recent roles of him is Spider-Man Noir in Into the Spider-Man.
Oh, yes.
So good in that. And I didn't realize that his first role was what was that, Ridgemont High?
Fast Times?
Fast Times in Ridgemont High. Yeah, it was very, very early. And then his third movie was Valley Girl, which I also did not quite realize.
Yeah.
So,
I love that movie.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Yeah. Also starring Julianne Moore, 104 credits, so only 2 less currently than Mr. Cage. And she was in 80 episodes of As the World Turns, which I had no idea about. She also, one of her actual first feature film was Tales from the Dark Side, where she was in Law 249.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, that was like her first movie role.
Oh, how interesting.
Yeah, with
With
Steve Buscemi.
Christian Slater and Steve Buscemi.
Yep, absolutely. Last but not least, Jessica Biel, who's been in 47 things, including many different voices in Pete the Cat. She's been recently in The Sinner. I knew her from 134 episodes of Seventh Heaven as Mary Camden, which, as you go to Catholic school, I swear they actually played it like in class. I never liked it, but I saw a lot of it. And you also might know her as Justin Timberlake's wife. I think they're still together, but I can't say for sure.
No idea.
The plot. All right. Hold on to your butts. Okay, so a small-time Las Vegas magician, played by Nick Cage, has a secret ability to see 2 minutes into the future. He was actually experimented on a fair bit as a child because this is an ability he was born with. And people have always tried to figure out how to use it, take advantage of it, or test him on it. So he's learned to keep a low profile and avoid using his powers to gain lots of money or make himself really seen or famous, which is why he's a really, really shitty magician. He has these visions where he can see into the future, and he can also see multiple timelines in the future. So he can, I think, pretty much like every second, he can choose to imagine a different way he would act in the future and see what the outcome of that version will be. So sometimes he has like little splits off of like different ways he can.
If I go this way, it takes me around 4 minutes. Oh shit, I'm dead.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So yeah, there's a lot of him seeing himself die in various ways. But he's also having these visions of a mystery girl at a diner that he has not yet met. And he knows that if he is with her, he can see much, much further into the future. So he starts to go and frequent this diner every day in the hopes that he will come across this mystery girl.
So he can see 2 minutes in the future, but he can also get flashes like further?
Oh, only if this girl is somehow involved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he can see through her further down the road.
Okay.
But yeah, it's very confusing how much time he gets by being around her. It seems like days or maybe even years. In the meantime, he accidentally draws attention to himself when he stops a robber from killing 2 people at a local casino. The FBI has been watching him and decides to kind of close in on him because they want to use his abilities to stop a terror plot that is underway. They need to know what he knows. This is a giant plot hole.
Cut no shit.
2 minutes into the okay. Anyways, they suspect there's some kind of nuclear crisis that's coming, and they want him badly. Meanwhile, the terrorists also want him to stop the FBI, to stop him from stopping the FBI from stopping them from doing their terrorist attack. I don't know. Finally, Chris, character's name, meets Liz, who is this mystery woman. He goes back to the diner, kind of avoiding the FBI. He's avoiding everybody, but he still needs to meet this girl, this dream girl. Goes to the diner, sees her, tries to figure out the right scenario he can play in which she'll meet him, but she is very sassy, intelligent, and will not take shit from anybody, including creepy guys who are 25 years older than her. Because yes, Liz is played by Jessica Biel. It's so weird. Anyway, and so he figures out the exact right thing to do when her abusive ex-boyfriend shows up, having stalked her, and threatens her. He comes up and confronts the gentleman, and instead of winning the fight, he chooses to get punched in the face, thus gaining her sympathy, and her then deciding to give him a ride to a school she teaches at for Native Americans in the desert. So we're on our way.
Taking you to the school nurse. Thank you.
It's very strange. Yes. So he's immediately smitten with her. He absolutely adores her. They go over to the school. There's a weird scene in which he manages to earn her affections by turning a rock one of these little kids is holding into a gecko. So that's very exciting to her, I guess. And then they share a hotel room, but he says, I'm going to sleep in the car because he's a true gentleman. He goes to sleep in the car, and next day he comes out, finds her walking out of the shower, and tells her she's beautiful. He then takes a paper rose, lights it on fire, and it's like a lot of fire, and it turns into a normal rose, and then they do it. And it is disgusting.
Is it up against the wall in an alley?
No. It's
Never mind, I'm not interested.
In fairness, they don't even show it. They show them making out, and there's so little chemistry that you're like, just stop. Even if they shot them making love, it's gone. It's just them naked, and like she's asleep on him, staring. He's just staring off into the ceiling, looking
2 minutes ahead.
Looking into 2 minutes ahead, 2 minutes into the future.
I'm gonna come in 2 minutes. I've seen it.
Unless.
How can I slow down?
How can I postpone this moment? Talk to me about Mickey York. Sorry. Anyway.
Ricky Mark.
Anyway, she then goes and gets them breakfast and some clothing, I guess, because he doesn't have good clothes. And she gets pulled over by the FBI, who says this guy is a sociopath. He's lied to you. He's delusional. He's crazy. You're in danger, but you need to go back in and give him this pill, drug him, but only after 5 minutes of being in. And then, after 2 minutes of being in, and the pill's going to take 5 minutes. So anyway, he won't be able to see in the future.
I see.
Because they do know, but she doesn't know.
Is it exactly 2 minutes?
Exactly 2 minutes.
Seems like something that shouldn't be an exact amount of time.
I know. Yeah. At first, they're kind of fudging around with it, but it becomes kind of a rule very quickly on.
Now, what time do you draw the lottery numbers? All right.
So she comes back in. She drugs the orange juice, but he's being so sweet and so loving and so wonderful. She can't help herself, and she says, "Don't drink it. Don't drink the orange juice." And so he does not. And she tells him the FBI are here and blah 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 blah. He turns on the TV. He starts changing channels, and before he changes it, says the next big line of each thing that they're about to change to, and thus he shows proof definitive to her that he can see 2 minutes in the future. Okay, this is when the movie becomes a movie.
Shouldn't he have like you're going to go out and meet the FBI, so I'd rather you do. I mean, yeah, okay. Anyways,
Anyway, he's running from the FBI.
since he can see longer to the future when
He doesn't want to become a lab rat.
Wow.
So anyway, yeah. So anyways, he tells her, I'm going to write a thing on a piece of paper. You're going to do exactly what it says at a certain time. He runs out. The FBI starts to chase him, as does I thought they were Russians. I guess they were French. I don't know. The terrorists. Everybody's chasing him. A bunch of CGI logs roll down a big hill. It's a very exciting scene. It's actually amazing because this film balances CGI and like practical in such a weird way that the practical is fucking phenomenal. Like it looks so good. The glass breaking, the cars being thrown.
Nice.
It looks so solid. And then the CGI is so bad. The physics are so bad. Everything, the logs are super smooth. They look like just cartoon animated logs like jumping down at him. But of course, he gets caught because Julianne Moore is about to get smashed by a log. And she says, are you going to just let me die? And of course he can't. So he grabs her and the car falls on top of them. But in just the right way, they don't die. So the FBI now has him. Meanwhile, the terrorists grab Liz. Oh my God, everything's getting crazy now. So he agrees to work with the FBI to help get Liz. And thus a giant action scene begins to ensue where he is seeing constantly a few minutes into the future and trying to avoid getting people killed. And Liz keeps blowing up again and again and again in his future because the terrorists blow her up, strapped to a chair full of explosives. I don't know why they want to do this at all. I don't know why the terrorists are hanging out with him at all, to be honest, at all. It doesn't make any sense. That's okay. It's fine. At least they're not making out anymore. And that's what's important because I was like, yes, put them in two completely different parts of the planet. Please. I don't want to see it again. I just don't. So there is an ending that does infuriate a lot of people. So I'm going to just go ahead and say what it is.
Oh,
because
again, please, let's not spoil these movies.
I know. I just feel bad. I personally, it's my biggest pet peeve because even if it's a movie I'm not interested in, I usually don't want it because it just upsets me. Anyways, so we see the world. He saves Liz. The day has been won. He agrees to help the FBI, and then he says, "It's too late. I made a mistake." And a nuke goes off, and the entire world ends. Then we rewind, and he is laying in bed, staring at the ceiling. Liz in his arms. He has seen into this far into the future by holding on to her in the night. None of this has happened from the moment Liz got up to get him new clothing.
Wait a second then. He saw... So he can just see events. He doesn't have to see it like through her eyes or his...
No, he just saw the whole thing play out like a movie.
Boy.
Where he was in it. But because she was there, he could see further, I guess. So he, kisses her and he says, "It's really nice meeting you. I am, please wait for me. I will be back in either days or months or years, but I will come find you if you can wait for me." And then he goes off to help the FBI.
Oh.
That always flashes me back to Last of the Mohicans, where he's like, "I will find you, no matter where you are."
It feels just like it. The intensity of this man. All right, so you might be asking, there's clairvoyance, right?
Sure.
I'm sure we're asking nothing.
He's a magician. Where's the too many magics? And I will argue,
okay,
being Nick Cage is a form of magic all its own. As soon as you put anything extra on that, it is too many goddamn magics. Nick Cage is one thing, but if you're going to add him being able to see into the future, that's too much. Argue with me. Argue with me.
I don't have to argue with you. You're wrong.
No, I'm right. But also,
Nick Cage is Ghost Rider. Is that too many magics?
I haven't seen Ghost Rider.
Well, yeah, in context of that film, it is.
Yeah.
Like a good Nick Cage movie.
No, and the
Nick
other one I
Cage.
saw where he's got some kind of special, The Knowing, that was too many magics, for sure.
I'm
And that
gonna
was
let
like
this
clairvoyance
slide
as
because
well.
I like you, Vanessa.
Also,
But-
if I have to argue it, he's also a small-time magician. So,
There you go.
yeah.
You can see the
He
future.
can make rocks turn into geckos.
You gonna get to your trivia or anything?
Yeah, I am. All right. So what did I dislike about this movie? He says the word Orient
I
when
think
referring.
you covered that quite well.
But let me get to the racist parts. Come on. He calls some people from I believe it was from Hong Kong, people from the Orient. It was very uncool. Julianne Moore's character is shitty and horrible, and she's way too heavy of a hitter to play that role. She's just way too good. It's extremely gross watching him and Jessica Biel make out. There is also no chemistry. In fact, there is more chemistry between Julianne Moore and her ponytail in this film, which she rocks very well. The writing is extraordinarily bad. Biel's character is sometimes incredibly smart and witty and sometimes incredibly dumb. Logic makes no sense at all. Why do they care about a 2-minute advance on any of this stuff?
Quick, the bomb's going to go off. Where? 45 miles from here.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good. Hope it's all good. Also, Nick Cage's hair is extremely distracting and bad in this.
Well, that's not unusual.
His hairline is, I mean, it's just really long and scraggly, but it's like not long enough to be Con Air, like gross, kind of cool, and not short enough to like hide it. So it's just, it's a bad length. What I like, it's hilarious. It is hilariously bad. If you want to just laugh, it'll take you there.
She keeps getting further and further into the so bad it's good world. It's
is
nice to watch.
it was actually this is something I thought about when I was watching the film. I was like, I think this is a so bad it's good. The action moments are actually pretty fun. There's some good action considering how bad the CGI is. And if they had killed the romance, I think this movie might have been almost okay. The future moments gimmick is actually kind of neat. The way they do it, a lot of times it like kind of works. Trivia. There is a girl in the opening when he's doing a very bad magic show where he says, your necklace is going to drop off your neck in 3, 2, 1. And it drops. That was played by his ex-wife, Alice Kim Cage. He wears a gold jacket throughout the entire thing, which is a nod to the Philip K. Dick story, Golden Man, which it's based. Nick Cage actually botched this really bad joke in the movie. There's a lot of really bad jokes and lines about a monk with a hot dog who in the movie he says, I'll have one with everything. Have you heard the joke about the monk with the hot dog? I'll have one of everything, which it should have been make me one with everything.
Oh.
Yes. Very
much funnier.
Nick Cage came up with the idea that he should be a Las Vegas magician. He also came up with the idea that Jessica Biel should have the job as a Native American reservation teacher.
He also came up with the idea that he should make out with Jessica Biel.
I can only imagine.
Extend this scene.
The movie in Russia is called The Prophet. Columbia dropped this film from distribution. It was that far down the line. And then Paramount picked it up and put it out. Just took it across that.
You went from Russia to Columbia. So I was like, why'd the country?
Oh, sorry. Columbia Pictures. Chris Johnson does have abilities of precognition and clairvoyance. So if I had to really argue, I just think the Nick Cage thing is enough.
Yeah, I am. Actually, I'm going to make a judgment call here and say no. So edit all this out. What's your other movie that you're going to do?
Did you watch another movie? Hey, I bet there's a Mixing Magic Star Trek episode.
Yeah, let me see. Let me see if I can think of one real quick. I'll have no facts. The killers in this movie, the terrorists, communicate in French with a French accent, but also curse in Serbian. That might have been part of why I was confused. They also all look Russian. The original draft of this script is beautiful. He doesn't have precognition. He is a mutant with precognition. Chris was originally kind of like a feral animal, and then they kind of changed it into this sort of social outcast role. The reason why he has a romantic subplot at all is it's because the only other mutant of his species left, and they had to mate together. It was originally about racism, and the whole story was going to be the Department of Homeland Security trying to kill all the mutants as part of a war on terror. And it had a lot of tones about freedom and anti-authoritarian.
And then they passed it on to the Columbia lawyers, and they said, no way.
Yep. Yup, no joke. It was supposed to end up having a scene where Homeland Security was going to put him in a chair, potentially, for the rest of his life with him looking into the future. Then they would cut off his arms and legs so he could act as a time scope machine and only have experiences that were useful to them. Very exciting. So, yeah. Oh, yes. And other fun fact. In 2006, Stars did a 14-episode reality TV miniseries called Looking for Stars, and 200 contestants had the opportunity to earn speaking roles in the film Next. It was earned by an actor named Marcus Welsh. Wow. So
this really straddles the line between shitty and super shitty.
Critics would agree. They one such critic locally who gave it a 1.5 star from the Seattle Times said that late in the movie, Chris shouts at the bad guy, "I've seen every possible ending. None of them are good for you." It's as if he's talking to the audience, and alas, he's right.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah, every once in a while they pull
reviewers are assholes, but that was pretty good.
That was a good one. Yeah, you know, I don't wish I hadn't seen the film. I enjoyed it for every wrong possible reason. And I wish Jessica Biel I wish Julianne Moore had been his love interest. I wish anybody who had been near his age had been his love interest, because it was so fucking gross watching him make out with people. Like his weird, oddly smooth face. And then they would randomly make him sweaty sometimes for no reason. So like his shirt would be sweat through in like weird places. I don't know what was happening.
He was lactating. Weird. What are you judging?
Oh, boy.
Anyways,
so,
Eric.
Okay, well, I again liked the movie I saw.
Okay.
Oh.
This one I had seen before, and Kelly I know has seen before. So we saw it at the same place. 2007's Nobody.
Do you believe that what you do in this life will be done to you in the next?
I wouldn't be here if I did. You're enough of a health risk without the bloody universe being after you.
A few hours ago, I would have agreed with you. When a man stares into the mirror, what is it that stares back? An image of himself. At least all signs point to it. The mouth pronounces the same words. The eyes follow the movements of their masters. And when you blink, you can only assume that your reflection will close its eyes when you do. And when you turn away, you have a problem. I'm not cutting off any heads. I told you when I agreed to do this.
I told you to let me handle it!
And you should have. This is not happening. Whatever this is at this moment, it is not possible, so it cannot possibly be happening. Maybe I am dreaming. Maybe I'm a part of someone else's dream. It doesn't matter that I don't know what it is. It is enough to know what it is not. And it is not real.
Want to see a magic trick?
Nobody does this to me. Nobody is doing this to you. And there's nothing you can do to stop it.
Oh, yeah, at the Lovecraft Film Festival. Yep. Not the brand new Nobody that's out in theaters right now.
Yeah, and let me tell you, that made it a real pain in the ass to search for this film.
Bet.
It's on Prime, and the Rotten Tomatoes is no critics have a rating for it, and it's 35 by the crowd.
Oh.
But most of the reasons I read across were just like,
didn't get it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's too convoluted and whatever, man. Anyway, so it's directed by Sean Linden, who had just had a film out, Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, that was him?
His, yeah.
Oh, I remember hanging with him at the festival and telling him how much we enjoyed his movie. Oh.
Yeah, it was a great film. And I liked Hunter x Hunter. That was pretty good.
Hunter x Hunter is the one with the horrifying final scene, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Most of it's fairly straightforward. And then you get to the end, it's like, oh, Jesus. He also wrote it. He written some other stuff, In Plain Sight and The Fixer TV show.
Oh, sure.
Okay, you know that one?
I know of it.
Okay. Starring Costas Mandylor. That's probably not how that's pronounced, but I like that.
Costas Mandylor.
He's got 146 credits, And this is kind of the impressive part. He's been in several Saw films, but he's got 7 movies in post, 3 movies shooting, and 10 movies in pre-production. This is a working actor. Oh, he's also in Picket Fences. And Darren Wall, who was in Channel Zero and Cult of Chucky and Curse of Chucky.
Yay.
Edo Ross, who's in Red Heat and Lethal Weapons, tons of video game voices, and Full Metal Jacket. And that's most of the cast. There's not a lot of people in this. So this is a weird film. It's a noir with the look, that's for sure. Starts off with a man who's got his gun to his head. And boy, did I get an unfortunate autocorrect here. I was saying he's being threatened by nobody. It autocorrected to he's being throated by nobody. Like, oh, well, alrighty.
Jeez.
And then moves to these strange imaging shots of fire and a witch throwing bones. She's wearing a blindfold. I was kind of like, huh? So there's one magic.
Literal magic.
That's right. And then cut to a guy answering a phone in a phone booth and talking about killing this person and stuff like that. A lot of these early shots are in close-ups and medium shots, so you really can't see quite what's going on yet. And nothing to establish what is going on or where they are located. But they are incredibly well shot, and they look really freaking cool.
Is it the planet Zeist?
God, I hope not. I don't think I'd call it blackface, because he's not playing any representation. He just is total shadow man, and his face is painted like black, like matching his coat. And he frequently disappears into shadows with that look. Part of what I love this being shot in noir is it's also snowy. So there's this really great juxtaposition of no matter what you shoot in snow, you're getting reflected light from all over the place, but it still has really dark shadows. So it's actually really well shot. Tries to go home after he thinks he's done his job and forgot his keys in the door, but the guy who runs the place found him for him again. Or did he forget his keys in the car or door? This is when he gets back to the thing, it's obvious he's been shot by somebody, which you sort of see a scene about that happening. And then you get the nice movie time-tested ability to solve gun wound problems of putting gunpowder and lighting it on fire on yourself. Then you don't have to go to the hospital. Even though it's a through and through right above the heart. So they did a nice job with the effects. It's very painful looking, digging out the bullet, and that intercuts again with the witch in the previous scenes. And the film moves to another main character. He's a mob boss trying to hiding. First, it doesn't really go into a lot of detail yet of why he's hiding. This is not going to be a movie I'm going to lay out a plot to for you. So just so you know, if it sounds like weird connected scenes, that's because that's exactly what it is. But he's trying to set up a final deal that sounds like he's going to get out of town after that's done and get away after this guy gets killed. And he starts talking to somebody in the shadow. And it's a man he hired to kill someone. When he finds out, he relaxes and all's good. And then the scene continues on and becomes the beginning of the movie, where we saw before with the guy with the gun to the back of his head is that mob guy. And he's paid for, his payment is a box that is wrapped, and you don't see what's inside the box. So he takes that back to his place, where again he has problems with the keys. Does he have them? Is the door unlocked? Why is the door unlocked? And he hides that box away. Every time he shows up at the hotel, things are slightly different. He'll either be, he's forgotten his keys, he's never checked into the hotel. All kinds of weird, great stuff is going on. And again, there's another scene that starts off where the mob guy's talking to one of his bodyguards about karma, and then molds into a scene we've seen before. It's incredibly difficult editing going on in this film. And then you get now this main storyline, the main shot switches perspective. So we start to see these scenes we've already seen, but from a different angle, from what appears to be a different person. And then you see it's the guy who's the killer from earlier who had his face all shadowed out. And so now you're kind of like, okay, what's he doing here? So this is sort of now we've got two people existing in the same timeline. So you can see like when he got shot, it was this guy shooting him. So he shot himself. He starts following himself after shooting himself. And the witch is there and she's trying to kind of talk to him, but he sort of ignores her. I'm going, maybe you should talk to this lady. She seems to know what's going on here. And then he goes back and the bullet repair scene is done again, but now he's outside the bathroom watching himself do that. And the movie continues in this weird, disjointed manner until the end. And one thing that the film does really well is it's done well enough and it's told convoluted enough. And the director mentioned this in some of his interviews that he was pleasantly surprised how many people watched it twice if it showed twice at a festival, which I think we did.
Yeah.
And because that's the main criticism of the film is it's too convoluted and I didn't understand. It's like, well, that's okay. As long as it's not stupidly annoying and you go back and watch it and go, oh, this all falls apart. It becomes clearer as the more you watch it, it does actually get better. There's so little about this movie. I was a little surprised to find out it's streaming on Amazon. And Amazon Prime, no rental, you just watch it. So this must have been some package deal of which they bought like 50 movies because they wanted to get that. We want that one. It's like, great, you're taking these too.
Right.
It deserves more than that. But boy, I found one interview with him and very little else. Some of that could be just a whole lot of stuff getting pushed out by the movie Nobody, which is like coming out, now?
Right.
I did find that Sean Linden's favorite film is The Dark Crystal.
Fun fact.
Yes. Well, but one thing that is kind of interesting that, like, oh my God, said the most difficult aspect of shooting was the weather. He'd lived in Winnipeg for 30 years, still can't deal with how cold it gets. The film was shot entirely at night, almost all outside, during the coldest part of winter. So temperatures got down to negative 40.
Oh.
He said a lot of people said, wow, you used a lot of smoke and fog. It's like, no, we didn't. That's just what happens. It was cold enough that any condensation in the air was misting. You see these guys and they are bundled up. The hats and the gloves and big coats. The scene with the mobster, he's in a boat. And that room he was in was so cold that they could go outside to get a little bit warmer.
Oh, my God.
Because it was all metal and it was just ridiculous. But it does kind of make it look cool because every car that starts up or drives by has tons of fog coming out of it. Everybody that talks is just mist all over. It's really a neat looking movie. A little surprised it only screened at 9 festivals. Well, hold on. 9 festivals in October when I read this interview was placed.
Okay.
But Sao Paulo, New York, California, Arizona, Oregon. Won a couple Best Picture awards, Best Cinematography awards, Best Actor awards. It did really well in the festival. And like I said before, it's very low budget. I wasn't able to find a budget, but it's incredibly well shot. It was one of those things sort of like the one I talked about last week where it's a lot of friend people. He was able to call favors in and get as much budget as he could, hired the actors, shot it, then got finishing funds afterwards. I'd definitely say, this is a damn good one. So,
what are the magics being mixed?
Oh, you've got magic, and then you've got time jumping.
I was like, was this a time loop movie or just a time travel movie?
It's it's not real clear. It's a little bit of Groundhog's Day, but it's not in that he sees himself. So it's like he's looping, but he's not looping back to his own reality. He's looping back to near reality. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on that is convoluted. And if you did watch, like, I think this is a great theater watch where you're stuck and you just have to watch it. There's nothing that's going to distract you. Because if you kind of look away from this movie after a few minutes, you could be really, really lost.
Yeah, Vanessa, see how when I asked him what the magics were, he could clearly tell me what they were?
I'm going to stand by my choice. I think I've found a revelation about something in our world. Nick Cage is a kind of magic, as Eric points out.
Eric, I believe it's your choice for the next subgenre.
So let's see. How are we going to do this one? We're going to do not that one. kind of a convoluted idea, but so let me lay it out for you. I have no idea how you're going to
Please
chapter
do.
this episode.
It doesn't matter. Vanessa will just do whatever she wants.
You know what?
Oh, yeah,
I learned it
sure,
I
Mr.
learned it from
Cobra.
watching you.
Mr. Cobra, Mr. Star Wars holiday special.
Hey, shut up.
Anyway, so a great horror film. I'll dive back into horror here that we've shied away from a little bit. But this film can have no direct sequels, no obvious knockoffs or remakes. So it needs to be a wholly original and encompassed film. For example, obviously you can't do Friday the 13th. But you also can't do Invasion of the Body Snatchers because even though it doesn't have sequels, it does have remakes.
Right. Okay.
So
one and done.
Yep. That's the challenge.
In this modern era, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, you may have to go back a few decades.
Even like looking on IMDb, it's amazing how many times I'll look up a film and discover that like there's a remake in progress or.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We've even talked about a few movies in trivia you guys have mentioned, and it was remade, like The Fog. Completely forgotten that had been remade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Good on you for that.
With Mr. Smallville.
Oh, was it? Okay.
All right, guys. Well, that's the show then. As usual, thanks so much for everybody. The wonderful response we've got for the value for value. I'm talking to you, Jason, this week.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep.
And thanks to everybody for liking, sharing the posts and all that stuff. All of that stuff matters to us, and it matters to getting the name out there, and we really, really appreciate it.
Yep. There's the fun things to do. We're still working out what we're gonna do with this things, but along that is helping us grow stuff. When you see a post from Strange Aeons, commenting on it, and this, if you got a friend of yours who's on Strange Aeons but they're not listening, tell them to not just like our page, listen to the podcast, man. Come on, check us out,
or even just subscribe and don't listen.
that's fine. Just let it
pile
download.
up.
That's my new motto. Make sure you subscribe and not listen.
Apparently, over the next few months, subscription is going to be changed to follow.
Oh.
Because a few ups at, I don't know if it's Spotify or Apple or whoever has podcasting feels correctly or wrongly that a lot of people don't subscribe to podcasts because they think that subscription means a fee. So they're going to alter it to follow or something along those lines.
In 20 years, when we listen back to this episode, we're going to be like, oh my God, remember it didn't used to be called subscribe or follow or
Vanessa's already okay with this because she's got a bunch of weird guys that follow her already. So.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Do I?
Boy, those improv classes are really paying off. Okay, that's the show. We'll be back in a week, and we are talking one and done.
Bye.
Our show is recorded somewhere high above Naval Station Everett at the nexus of all realities and is engineered and produced by Eric Margaret. Our theme music is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find Strange Eons Radio on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and wherever fine podcasts are found.